Halacha Yomi. We're talking about kliv shechtol isur, things that are prohibited use items. 22. A fly swatter is considered mechtol isur because it's meant for killing flies. 23. Umbrella is considered mechtol isur because it's meant to open an ohel. 24. Scissors and nail clippers are mechtol isur because you do gozez with them. What about scissors for to cut food? Let's say you have a whole chicken, you cut the legs, right? When you cook, after you cook it, it's like poultry scissors. Those are not considered muktzeh because you use them for permitted use. 25. You're not allowed to pick up weights on Shabbat because weights are considered prohibited on Shabbat. 26. Cigarettes may not be even carried in your pocket. Some people, they want to carry cigarettes for right after Srazu, after Arvit, and Motzei Shabbat. That's not allowed, even if your intention is to use it after Shabbat because it's muktzeh. 27. Poskim say laundry pins are l'chtol isur because it's involved with hanging up laundry. Laundry pins are like those little clips they used to use to hang the clothes onto the lawn. Some people don't even know what this is anymore. But back then, we used to hang up the laundry on the line, so that would be muktzeh. Okay, 28. Paintbrush, pencil, pen, markers, eraser, sharpener, ruler, all these things. Klish, mechtol, isur. However, ink is considered a different type of muktzeh, more strict. Muktzeh, mahmad gufo. Okay, paper for printing or paper for writing is also considered klish, mechtol, isur. It's considered something that the empty piece of paper is considered for printing. It's considered muktzeh. Because nowadays it's very easy to attain such a paper, and it's not considered mahmad gufo. Rather, it's considered mechtol isur because you use it to write. So if there's a piece of empty paper, you should know it's muktzeh. Unless you can't move it, you can't move it unless it's for a permitted purpose. Because you use it to write, you use it to print. So it's considered muktzeh, mechtol isur, just like a pen. One is the writing tool, one is the thing that receives the writing. So therefore, they're both muktzeh.
What if your son asks you to make an airplane?
Yeah, with a paper airplane.
So if he wants, if maybe that'll be considered a permitted use. But let's say I want to play with it, move it for no reason, it's not allowed. Okay, good. Things that are used for building is klish shechtol isur. For example, a hammer, screwdriver, wrenches, nails, tape measure, staplers, all these things are klish mechtol isur. Pots, pans, baking and cooking utensils, even though you can't cook on Shabbat, they're still considered klish shechtol isur. Right, so therefore you can't move them if there's no permitted purpose for to move them, because you can't cook on Shabbat. So, so the empty pot covers, strainers, grinders, grate sifters, pins, katalka, mixing bowl, kneading boards, all these things are considered muktzeh. If food is inside, it's different, but if food is not inside, it's muktzeh.
What if you want to transfer food to people want to transfer food to those?
Okay, fine. So that'll be a permitted use. A car is considered for prohibited functions, primarily used for prohibited functions, and therefore it's considered klish shechtol isur. If you left a non-muktzeh item in the trunk or your seat of your car, if no lights will go on, you're allowed to open your trunk, open the door. After the door is open, you can only close the door in an indirect way with a shinui, like a different part of your body. You're allowed to sit or lean on the car. But you shouldn't sit inside the car on Shabbat because people are going to think that you're driving on Shabbat. But some people stand outside and they lean on the car or they sit on the car. Technically, that's mutar because moving the muktzeh is the problem, not touching the muktzeh.
You forgot a nice bottle of wine for that you prepared for Shabbat.
Oh, lights are going to go on? Yeah, lights are going to go on probably, right?
If not,
so then you'll be allowed.
But today I think he's gonna.
Yeah. So question is, can you ask a goy?
Yes.
It's LED that are banned, no?
Maybe it's the only wine he has for the kiddush.
The lights are LED in the car.
We have to look into this. We have to double check if you'll be allowed to ask a goy to go in the car for you and get you the wine. Okay, good. Tefillin. Tefillin is not allowed to be moved on Shabbat because they're not allowed to be worn on Shabbat. But if you're scared it's going to get damaged, then you'll be allowed, or you need the space, you're allowed to move them. Someone who uses the same talit on Shabbat as the weekday and needs to get his talit from his bag, from the weekday bag, and there's tefillin in there, he's allowed to move the tefillin in order to get his talit. Okay, shofar on Shabbat is considered klish shechtol isur because it's considered to make noise. It falls under the category of an instrument, so therefore not allowed to handle it on Shabbat. A gun. Let's say somebody carries a gun, he has a license. A gun is considered kli shachto leisur and should not be carried in a place where there's no apparent threat.
But if there is in places in the world, there is.
Let's say a security guard needs to carry a gun to protect people. Then carrying the gun is considered Shabbat need and is permitted to be carried. You also have to understand if there's no eruv, that's also a problem carrying the gun.
What if he needs? That's what I'm saying. In the countries and in places in the world, he has a license.
And he needs to walk in a place with no eruv.
No, he's a security guy. It's a life-threatening situation.
Every situation is different. We can't give a clear ruling for everybody, but you should consult case by case. But in general, in regards to the laws of Muktzeh, it's considered kli shachto leisur, and it has to have a permitted use. To use it, and it has to be there's an apparent threat. Let's say the police notify us that there's a high alert this weekend because there's the people threaten that they're going to go to shuls or something and do something. So over there, there'll be a threat. There's an ongoing threat. And
even if there's no eruv.
No, that I didn't say.
Okay.
I'm talking about the laws of Muktzeh. Eruv, that's a separate discussion. That has to be discussed case by case. Okay, good. Next section, we'll end over here. We're going to talk about Muktzeh Machmat Chisaron Kis. Muktzeh Machmat Chisaron Kis means Muktzeh because of a loss of your pocket, loss of of your value. Meaning that it's a kli shachto leisur basically, but it's a very expensive one, and you wouldn't use it for other activities like a mila knife. You wouldn't use to cut open an Amazon box, right? Let's say you have a fancy paperweight, right? You wouldn't use that for or a fancy pen. You wouldn't use that for to open a can, whatever it is, So therefore, these are things that are not permitted to be moved, even letzarch gufor, even letzarch mekomo, because person is generally careful not to use these items only for those purposes that it's meant for, because he's scared to damage them. So therefore, these are considered a more stricter version of Muktzeh, and you're only allowed to move these items indirectly. We'll stop over here.